Well, good morning, fellow gardeners and those that are just curious about this show and what we do. Good morning. It is Garden America. Welcome. I'm Brian Main. We've got John Bagnasco. We've got Tiger Palafox. Everybody's here today. Welcome to the show. We hope you had a good week. We hope you have a good weekend, and we hope that most of you are drying out from all the rain. Now, John, any more rain in the forecast for California?
California, yes.
Next weekend, it's going to be near 90 for the whole weekend.
Now, see, this is where things get dicey this time of the year.
Yeah.
People have a false sense of spring is here now officially, summer not too far behind.
Well, listen to this. We're going to be in the high 80s. This is Fallbrook, so I imagine maybe 5 to 8 degrees cooler in San Diego.
Maybe mid to upper 70s, most other areas.
But we're going to be in the high 80s. But Wednesday night, we have a predicted 37, 39 degrees. So you've got plants that have been growing under overcast conditions.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's going to be hot and sunny. So you're going to get a lot of burning on plants that don't have a thick enough cuticle. Right, Brian?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about the cuticle. Now again, and things are going to, we've still got cold weather ahead of us in terms of, we're not out of the woods yet. It's not going to be.
Yeah, we should be.
Okay, well, if you think we're out of the woods, then I want you to go to a Padre game in May at night and not wear a jacket.
That's different than a plant being outside at night. I mean,
no, I'm talking about what I'm saying is
it's not going to be 35 or 40.
I don't think it's going to be warm consistently from now on.
I think it will be.
Okay, well, no.
Hey, and you know what I read?
What did you? The Farmer's Almanac. Yeah, John's Bible, right?
Exactly. No, I mean, in Southern California, we say we're free of frost usually at the end of
February, right?
Yeah. So,
and here it is April.
Right. And so this is kind of rare for us. So kind of to what John's saying, this last day of potential frost being this upcoming week should probably be the last point where
So what you're saying is forget what us humans feel as far as cold. As far as the plant material heading forward now, things should be okay.
Yeah, plants are much tougher than us.
Much tougher.
Much
well,
tougher.
They have thicker cell walls, right, John?
Cuticles.
The cuticles are important. They have to build up a thick cuticle if it's a sun plant to begin with. Mm-hmm. But some plants that are shade plants, like Tiger's put in some irrigation at my house, and they moved the plants that were in the shade out into full sun now.
Oh, boy, just to get them used to the sun?
No, just because they were in their way.
See, I thought it was going to be something. Yeah. There's a reason for this. Yeah, the plants are in our way.
Right. So I was, when I get home today, I've got to go and I've got to get those plants back under some cover. You know, there's some Brunfelsia, some camellias, a few things like that. But you know what I did last week? I planted 15 climbing roses.
How fun.
It
must have been so easy for you to plant too, with that
the
soil being loose.
You're right about the weeds. Man, I started to pull a few weeds, came right out.
You would not believe the area that I've cleared of weeds, just because it's so easy to pull them out now.
Yeah, well,
it's fun.
You know,
come on over this afternoon.
Yeah,
I saved some, and you and I can get out there and we can pull them out together.
Have you ever transplanted a weed?
You know, it's funny you mention that because we have an auction coming up this spring, the California Coastal Rose Society. A spring auction. Our regular auction is going to be in the fall.
Right.
But today you can go to ccrsauction.com and you can start bidding. So wherever you are in the country, our overseas listeners cannot do this, but in the country, we'll send plants to you.
The 48 contiguous, or do we include Alaska and Hawaii?
We can include them.
Okay.
But I don't think we can send plants to Hawaii.
Yeah,
but I think Alaska.
Very particular about anything that comes into the
Alaska,
the islands.
They don't care what comes there.
Right.
So what was I saying?
Talking about
auction.
The auction, anybody can bid in the 48 states
starting
or 49.
today. Oh, you asked me if I ever transplanted a weed.
A weed, yes.
So I had a miniature rose that came from someone's house, and as I was getting roses ready for the auction, sometimes I'll take a rose and I'll split it in half and keep half and then put the other half in the auction, after it gets rooted. So I had this miniature rose, and I noticed that there was a little plant at the bottom, and I pulled it off and I put it into a 1-gallon can. And then I was thinking, this rose came from Palatine roses in Canada. And they usually bud everything on multiflora rootstock. But if this is coming from the bottom, this would be maybe rootstock and not the real rose. So I have it listed in the auction, but yesterday I went out and looked at it because it was finally leafing out. It's a liquid amber. I mean, isn't that weird?
Oh, it's so funny. So there was liquid amber seeds in the soil.
Apparently.
And then it just rooted and came out through the bottom of the pot, you're saying?
No, not through the bottom of the pot, through the top, and I just pulled it away from the main plant.
Got it.
So
That's funny.
Surprise, surprise.
Maybe they were trying to root it on top of a liquid amber. That'd been an amazing.
Well, it was with a group of roses that came from the late Bob Martin, who was president of the American Rose Society, and had a wonderful garden in Escondido. Came from his house, and he had. I ended up with his collection of plants, and a lot of them had liquid ambers coming up in them.
Now, Bob Martin, same person who had all the roses out in the desert?
No, that was Cliff Orant.
Cliff Orant, okay.
Yeah. Bob Martin appeared at our auctions on a yearly basis. He was a speaker,
I
but
recall.
You never came to both days. You only came to the live auction.
Yeah.
He would bid in the live auction, but he presented the day before. Anyway, learned a lot from him, and now I have a lot of his roses.
Yes, Tiger.
So if people were logging on and watching this show before we actually started speaking, they were watching us watch a video of a guy that was cutting a carrot.
We have that in the newsletter.
Making an instrument. It's April Fool's Day, April 1st, right?
And our Facebook page as well.
And John posted a wonderful article about, who was it again?
Tesco. In Great Britain.
Not Tesla, but Tesco.
Yeah, Tesco, right.
Developing a carrot that whistles when it's ready to be harvested. And then
no, not when it's harvested. When you're cooking your carrots, boiling them, when they're done, it begins to whistle.
No, it's actually screaming in pain.
At very loud decibels.
Because it's being boiled.
But John was trying to figure out if this video of this gentleman cutting a carrot into an instrument was real or not. So we were watching it. It was pretty funny though, because you can believe it or not, and the reason why I know it's real, John, is I've seen other videos like this, but they'll use a lot of vegetables for musical instruments. I mean, gourds are a very common use of many instruments, percussion, wind, string, all of that. They use a lot of gourds to make instruments out of. So.
Yeah, how about that?
Did you know I used to live next to the largest gourd farm in the United States?
In Fallbrook?
Duluth.
Oh, when you lived up there?
Yeah, our next door neighbor.
The largest
Is it
gourd
still
farm.
the largest to this day?
I think so. I think they're the largest supplier of gourds in the country.
Gourds, huh?
Right here in our own backyard. How about that?
You got to get them quick, though, because they sell out. And then
when they're gone, they're gone.
They're out of their gourds.
Right. They're out of their gourds. Very good.
Are we talking like the gourds that you buy when you go to a pumpkin place and there's those decorative gourds, or what kind of gourds?
No, these are bottle gourds.
Bottle.
And they carve them into, if you look up online and you look, carved bottle gourds, they're works of art. And they use them as dippers to dip water.
Okay.
There's dipper gourds.
Can't trust anything John says on today.
There's a lot of...
That's a subculture, a little gourd subculture here, right? Hey,
I'm not playing any jokes on you guys today, just so you know. I mean, if I said on air or something like, Brian, you're a big fat bastard, you would know that's a joke. Because
I would know that's a joke, and congratulations. That was good.
That was well played.
That was well played. Little inside joke there, but John, well played. You know what? Polite golf applause for John for working that one in.
Well
before the break, let's do the newsletter quote.
Oh, okay.
And any mention about the newsletter that you want to tell everybody about before we take a break and bring on our guest, Raj.
Our guest, Raj, is going to be talking about the core products out there. I know core is not a new product, but there's a lot of information about it now, and it's becoming more and more popular.
And the quote is from
Mark.
I'm just looking.
It's Mark. See, this is where I think there's an April Fool's joke here.
Yeah, exactly.
I somehow was tired when I was doing the newsletter, but it's from Mark Twain, actually.
Just Mark.
I figured that, but go ahead.
Right, and Mark Twain said, April 1st, this is the day upon which we're reminded of what we are the other 364.
Just a big joke, right?
Just
Just a bit. Okay, it is break time. A break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio, for our many fine sponsors. Thank you for supporting our show on Biz Talk Radio. Remember, this is last week's show, pre-recorded. Those on Facebook Live, we're going to come back even quicker. We'll get a hold of our guest, Raj, and then from there on, keep on going. Happy weekend. We are Garden America. Thank you for joining us. Okay, welcome back to the show. Those on Biz Talk Radio, we do appreciate you sitting through that break, supporting our many fine sponsors. The rest of us here on Facebook Live, remember, questions, comments for our guest or one of us as we continue opening up things with our guest today, Raj. Tiger, bring on Raj. Let's get this show moving along, shall we?
So this morning we have Raj Bhatia joining us from EnviroSoil, a distributor of core products here in the United States. Core is a peat replacement product, also a soil conditioner, soil supplement, helps with a lot of things as far as retaining nutrients and water for plants. Raj, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Tiger. Doing well. How are you?
Great. Now, Raj, you've been involved with a lot of different, let's say, environmental conservation aspects, EV chargers, solar, different things, and very different from core. What brought you into core products?
It's a great question, Tiger. I'm really into all things and everything sustainable, meaning, for the electrification space, of course, EV chargers, anything solar related. It's just simply to benefit not only the end user, but the environment. We're trying to omit some of the fossil fuels out of the equation. And with gardening, it's almost the equivalent. What I'm getting into is basically the Coco Coir, which is, again, a sustainable product, which is a byproduct of agriculture. So it's just my interest in sustainability.
Now, have you always had an interest in plants, gardening, agriculture as well?
Believe it or not, I'm not an avid farmer, gardener, but I do, my wife and I, we took a trip out to India, and my in-laws had a garden there. They're planting, various different fruits and vegetables. And so I sort of took interest in that, and the whole, it stemmed from that background. But I'm not really a full-time farmer, gardener, or anything of that nature, but I do take interest in sustainability and methods to improve on our, soil improvement processes.
Yeah. All right, so for our listeners, let's go ahead and run down what is core.
Yeah, you know what? In a nutshell, Coco Coir is basically derived from coconuts. If you're in a tropical region that predominantly grows a lot of these coconuts do end up in the landfill, and that's not something that we want. So we Basically, when I mentioned earlier that it is a byproduct of agriculture, they have a process of Coco Coir, which they dehusk the outer shell of the coconut. And, they move forward with the process of, there's many processes involved, the collection of it, and then they're dehusking it, and then they're washing it, testing it, drying it, and then finally screening it. And then ultimately they end up with a product that is behaves similarly to, peat. And so, it can be used for anything and everything horticulture. So.
Now, so when somebody thinks of a coconut, we have this brown hard shell, right, with the white center with the coconut water in the middle. So the core is actually the part outside of that shell, the green, almost softer tissue part that protects that inner part of the coconut. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Very
yep.
fibrous,
Yeah.
very fibrous material.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
It looks like it's sort of like a hairy product, right? The outer shell, but that's what they use it for.
And this is like you're saying, a lot of the core product, at least in the past, went to the landfills there wherever coconuts are being farmed. Now, give people a little bit of insight too, because they think, do people really eat that many coconuts? But coconuts aren't just harvested for eating, right? There's a lot of products they use coconuts for.
Oh my God! That's a great question, Tiger. The products for coconut, it's a big industry in itself. Yes, most folks do like coconut water. It has its own health benefits, but there's also other industries that benefit from the use of coconut rather than going to a landfill. Car mats, doormats, ropes, carpets, insulation, brushes, Bristol brooms, upholstery. In fact, even a mattress company is intrigued with the Coco Coir product, that they're using it sort of like the box spring, because it's a hard, once it's compressed, it's really a hard substance. And so they're using that as a benefit versus normal wood.
So this is a product, so when we compare it to peat, peat is a mined product, right? It's a field. They've bought in land. They go and harvest it, and peat is a result of decades of decomposing soil matter and or foliage matter. So this is a very sustainable product, especially when you compare it to peat, right?
Absolutely. Peat moss, it's also known as sphagnum moss. It's basically found in many parts of Europe and Canada and North America. Basically in an essence that they both have the same properties. They both hold water and they are aerated. However, peat moss is not a sustainable product versus your typical Coco Coir. It takes a long time to replenish. It has, its removal can have consequences for the peat bog's ecosystem. So, there's many things where I would say the benefit of Coco Coir, Coco-Peat, outweighs the usage of peat moss. Also, it's worth noting that the shelf life, the peat moss basically dries out and becomes hydrophobic. It means it becomes almost impossible to rehydrate, regardless of the water. So that's not certainly the case with Coco Coir, which it's a completely eco-friendly option for gardening, for planting. So it's a natural byproduct, like I mentioned, and it really helps with aeration of water and retention. Unlike peat moss, it needs less water, by the way, to achieve the same level of hydration.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because, I know at the a garden center level, and I know that core are mixed in with products, but when we sell core, it's this dry brick, that kind of flakes off as you kind of begin to want to use it and hydrate it. Mm-hmm. So it seems like very easy to transport because it's dry. So number one, it's lightweight. It could be compressed. So, a brick that takes up 1 cubic foot actually expands out to, I don't know a particular ratio, but maybe like 3 cubic feet kind of a thing when you add water to it. So, and it's really easy to use. You just add a little bit of water to it, it hydrates, and, now it becomes a usable product. Hey, Raj, we're gonna just pause for a break here in about a minute. But when we get back, I want to just talk to you a little bit about the different uses in a garden industry, in a home garden, what they would want to use core for. So we're going to take a little break, and when we get back, we'll continue chatting with Raj with EnviroSoil.
Well said, Tiger. You bet. Thank you, Raj, for being with us. And those on Facebook want to chime in, questions, comments for Raj or one of us, feel free to do so. And also those listening on BizTalk Radio to the pre-recorded show, you can catch us live every week, Pacific Standard Time, 8:06, 11:06 Eastern Time Zone. If you do want to catch us live, interact here on Garden America. Speaking of BizTalk Radio, back after these messages and our many fine sponsors here on Garden America. Okay, we are back from the break. Thank you for joining us, making us part of your weekend here on Garden America as we broadcast from the iHeartMedia and Entertainment Studios. Beautiful San Diego, California. Things are drying up, and we continue with Garden America. Our guest, Raj, this morning, talking about a lot of products. Basically coconut and all the things that we derive from coconuts, Tiger.
Yeah, so we're talking with Raj with EnviroSoil and giving us a rundown of core. Now, John has an important question for you here, Raj. How do you say
Is it
C-O-I-R?
Coir or core?
I've heard coir plenty of times. People do say coir just for the easiness of it, whatever you like to pronounce.
How do they say it in India?
They actually use a different term. They use Coco-Peat, P-I-T-H. It's not predominantly used here in the U.S., so hence the term Coco Coir, Coco-Peat. But pit is usually the term used in that part of the region.
Now, don't we usually refer to the pith as the middle part, John?
Right.
So like the seed, right?
No. The pith is the like in a stem would be the corky part.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Interesting. So Raj, what are some uses that a home gardener would see for core?
Yeah, Coco Coir, you can use it for container plants. If you're a home gardener, for example, and you have container plants for veggies, you can use it. It's a versatile growing media for soilless gardening, for example. Or you can do soil-based gardening, aquaponics and hydroponics. Pretty much anything and everything horticulture. If you're looking to plant vegetables, zucchini, tomatoes. Believe it or not, a big industry that Coco Coir is used for is mushroom growing. So if you're in the fungi space, definitely it's worth exploring EnviroSoil for that. But definitely, anything and everything horticulture. If you have a nursery and you're really growing plants and vegetables, succulents, French hydrangeas, there are companies that are looking to embed Coco Coir in their products simply because of its duration of water, and of course the way it spells out the nutrients slowly into the roots. So the root formation is huge.
Is it what would be considered a sterile product? Also, when they talk about soils for plants, potting soil is not sterile. It's just not a sterile product. But when you talk about a seed mix or something that you'd be starting seeds in, they consider those products to be sterile, so that way there's no fungus or bacteria that can affect the seed growth. Is core processed in a way that it would be sterile, or is it not considered sterile?
Well, here's the thing. When you want to mix coir with anything that's existing, one of the key ingredients you need is phosphorus and nitrogen, of course. And you also, depending on the mixture, you may have to even put some sand, wash some sand in, because that further helps with the aeration of water. And then mix it with your own, proprietary blend or, premium blend soil. The coir is meant for that usage where it really helps with the aeration of water. And it's pre-washed, and our EnviroSoil, in fact, is pasteurized, and that's why it's really good for mushroom growing as well. Mm-hmm. So it's heated to a very high degree. So in that case, yes, I would recommend just using a portion, maybe 20 to 30% with your existing substrate, and see how that, plays out, because you have to do some trial runs on this to see if, for example, your tomato with your consistent compost is better off integrating with the Coco Coir.
Okay.
Does Coir drain better than peat?
Absolutely. Yep, it does. It drains better. So here's the thing. When you're doing trials, you have to, of course, adjust the amount of water you're putting in versus your normal typical soil that you're using. So obviously because of its water holding properties and its aeration properties, I would recommend curtailing the amount of water you put so that you don't overwater it, because it does have the properties to retain that water for a long period of time.
Right.
Coco Coir, by the way, it's also, it has a shelf life really of 20 years. They say it, can go on and on, but it really, versus your typical peat moss, you can literally have it. There's parts of India where they have mountains of this coir that's still left over, and it's probably going to be there for another 20 years if they don't use it.
just
Right.
big old piles of this product. Now, also in the soil, in the existing soil of your landscape, this is a good product to integrate. A lot of people will talk about using it in pots and potting soil, raised beds, but I've also heard about people introducing it into their lawns through aeration to help with the soil of your lawn retain water as well, right?
Yeah, you can absolutely use it on your lawn. It's basically a substitute of mulch. We do have another product. It's a Coco Coir, the EnviroSoil husk chips, which is great for animal bedding as well. So if you even have, for example, reptiles, snakes, and you need them for the comfort, you can use certainly our chips, which has low electro conductivity, as well as the typical product or flagship product, which is the Coco Coir Pit Block, which also has low EC and is pH balanced, but you can certainly use it on your lawn as well.
And now, is there, sometimes with the products, I remember there was a product back out on the market. I don't even know if it's around anymore. The cocoa mulch. Remember that, John?
Yeah.
The chocolate.
Oh, that was
husk.
that was cocoa bean hulls.
Yeah, it was chocolate. It was
Right.
cocoa
Right.
mulch. Are there any kind of allergies because it's a coconut that people have to be cautious of? Or is this a pretty non-allergic product, coconut?
It's a non-allergic product. It's odorless. Again, it's great for root formation, but there's no it's disease-free, it's pest-free, and I don't think there's allergy issues per se. When you brought up the interesting thing about the cocoa hull, it's a new thing too. By the way, it's the process of taking one of these cacao chocolate beans or what have you, and the term is to basically convert that into a mulch. And I think the process is almost similar, and that is a looser soil. I do understand that there is a company that already does that here in the United States. Very interesting product, very niche market, but Coco Coir is definitely the one that's needed for your overall holistic view of gardening. And there's a lot of it.
Yeah. I almost wish that there was the coconut scent to the product. I mean,
I love coconut.
I do. I would love to walk out of my backyard and feel like I'm in a Hawaiian Tropics commercial or something, because I mean, coconuts are one of my favorite foods for sure. If there's anything food related with coconut, I'm all in with it.
Early on in the comments, Dana said that she just purchased coconut floss.
Floss?
Yeah, coconut floss. What about that, Raj?
What is coconut floss?
Floss, very interesting. See, look, this versatility of this product is so immense that you're going to start seeing emerging industries based on this. Believe it or not, in India, one of the biggest importers of this product is China, its neighbor. And China sees the value of it. So they're they're purchasing all these products from India, and they're doing all sorts of things for it, maybe using it in furniture, and God knows what else they're going to use coconut coir for. But it is sustainable, and I think that's one of the key portions of it. Obviously, in this day and age, we need to care for Mother Earth. And by the way, Earth Day is coming on April 22nd, and that's why I'm very, giving a shout out to everyone to at least do something sustainable on that day to help with the environment. But for this product, cocoa floss is something new. I haven't really heard of that, so I'm going to do some research. So very interesting.
But I mean, you bring up a point on this product as far as its versatility. and making, ropes, which obviously they can make string or cloth out of it too. And it seems like, there's a large amount of this product around that they almost don't know what to do with all of it right now. So why not find these different, different industries that it can be used in? So Raj, now when it comes to also people gardening with coconut, with core, do you recommend that they, watch you had mentioned the fertilization, being you a little bit of trial and error. Does it hold nutrients more or less than other soils?
Typically, it will hold nutrients more.
Uh-huh.
It is pH balanced. It's not acidic. It's not, on the alkaline level, versus peat moss, which typically can be more acidic. In fact, even you mentioned earlier the cacao hull, cocoa hull is also acidic in its nature. This will typically hold more. The product at EnviroSoil has low EC, which means it's less of the gunk and the sand that's mixed with it. It's mostly almost pure. It is OMRI certified for organic use. So I would say, try it out as a gardener. Try a sample. See how it works. See how it pans out versus your typical substrate that you're using currently.
Okay.
Most folks will buy a product from Home Depot. They'll go, get a Miracle Grow or a Kellogg's and what have you. So it's, mix it with that and maybe about 30 to 40% and see how it grows, because I can guarantee you the nutrient level into the roots, that's where it benefits the most.
Okay, Raj, we got to take a quick break. Sorry to interrupt, so hold that train of thought. Break time for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Do stay with us. More questions, more comments here on Facebook Live. This is Garden America. All right, we are back, and those on Biz Talk Radio, this is the final segment of hour number 1. News coming up top of the hour across the Biz Talk Radio networks, and we are back at 6 minutes after. Again, you can also catch us live on Facebook every week here with Garden America. John, do you want to hit that question? And we'll get back to Raj real quickly.
Yeah, Raj, we have a question from Pakistan, and Hastam wants to know, and I think you've already covered this, but maybe a little more specifically. He wants to know the ratio of different material with the Coco-Peat or pumice to get a favorable soil for potting medium and seed growing. And then he also wants to follow that up with, can you use it by itself as a potting medium or for growing seeds?
No, it's a great question, and thanks for that question coming from Pakistan. 20 to 30%, I would say, mix that in with your typical substrate. Whether it's being used and if you're using it with a premium blend already, great. Then I'd say 20 to 30, the low end. I've been contacted by a few tree nursery companies that are looking to put 40 to 50%. So it depends on the product, depends on the plant. They're looking to see if they can, have a more sustainable sort of soil for tree growth. A lot of the trees do end up falling apart depending on the integrity of the soil. So I would say start off with 20 to 30%. Could this be a standalone product? Absolutely. You can experiment with that. It has had benefits as a standalone product without mixing it with any other existing compost. Certainly add the water. The expansion level does go to about 2.7 at most cubic feet. And I am bringing a lot of these products in on a monthly basis. So definitely, experiment with that because the expansion level is huge for Coco Coir.
So how would somebody get a hold of your product, Raj?
Well, certainly they can reach out to me. I'm very personable. If they want to reach out to my direct phone number, they can contact area code 332-201-5216. I am on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the handle EnviroSoil. That's spelled EnviroSoil. Of course, my website, EnviroSoil.com. That's onsoil.com. And then, of course, on Amazon, I will be launching that within the coming weeks. You can find me on Amazon as well and purchase the product. I do retail and wholesale, and I'm getting about 22 metric tons of this product in on a monthly basis, so which that equates to roughly 22 pallets, and that's well over 4,000 of these blocks. So, like I said, reach out to me, and I'm happy to address any questions you have, and even send out some trial samples as well.
It's funny because, when we talk about products online being sold, soil is one of those ones that you just feel like, I'm not going to have a 2 cubic foot bag of potting soil delivered to me. The shipping alone is going to be through the roof.
Yeah, it'll be more than the cost of the product.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But this is a compressed bale, and it's very lightweight, and it takes up very little space, so it ships real well. So I kind of feel like you are going to be able to ship this product to people in their homes, Raj, and still be competitive with, what they would find out there in the market, right?
I shipped one out to San Diego yesterday. In fact, someone purchased the Coco Husk chips. I think the beauty is that it's compressed. To your point, it makes for the transportation to be a lot easier. People are like, "Oh my God, are you going to ship soil like loose?
Yeah.
How's that going to be in a Ziploc bag? What's the haps?" And I'm like, "No, this is coming. It's going to be shrink wrapped. It'll have our label on it, and all you have to do is introduce it to water and see how it expands." But yeah, it's a portable product.
Yeah.
Very portable.
Good stuff. All right. Well, when you get that online link ready to go, Raj, send it over to us. We'll make sure our listeners see it. Thank you very much. Have a good first day of April. Spring is here, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, Raj?
Thank you, Garden American Radio Show, and appreciate the opportunity. And everyone, please, Earth Day, do something special.
All right.
Perfect. All
Raj,
right.
thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Okay, that was an interesting topic. A lot of good feedback on our Facebook page with that.
Yeah, I like that Raj says people can reach out to me. I'm personable.
Yeah, exactly. Just call me. No worries.
Yeah. Lila in Poway wanted to know about using it for orchids. And I think that you could use it in a mix for terrestrial orchids, like cymbidiums, but I would not use it for orchids that are normally grown in bark or rock, like Phalaenopsis.
Yeah, if anything, you might be able to use that. They have that chunky one like he was describing.
Yeah, something
because
like that.
It's more chunky.
Yeah, something like that would probably be great to use.
But that powdery
Right.
one,
It's going to hold too much water.
It would hold way too much water
Right.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's such a neat, versatile product, and it's always so nice when we have these kinds of products. And like we said, this isn't anything brand new to the industry, but it is something that's kind of taking off more and more and more.
But there's more public awareness now.
I mean, John, I almost feel like there's almost no bagged products anymore that have peat in them. They're all going away from peat.
Well, peat is a renewable resource. It just takes hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Instead of you can still harvest peat. My problem with peat is, I overwater.
Yeah.
So everything's going to rot. There's no such thing as a coir bog.
No.
There's peat bogs because
they just hold it in.
Right. So if you're growing carnivorous plants, maybe you can use peat bogs. But
John Clements just chimed in on the use of it for orchid mix.
yeah, the one that Tiger's talking
Right,
about,
exactly.
the chunky.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So those on Facebook Live can see that
And
comment.
John also says he adds pumice to that mix.
Yeah,
So,
great for the drainage. And
right. So
air
Lila,
separation.
and also adds some heaviness, right? So the plant's just not going to flop out
True
of the
that.
soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, John. We appreciate that. Tiger, I wanted to show you a picture because I didn't know.
We've got a minute before our break.
Well, it's not going to take me a minute to show it to
Well,
him.
sometimes it takes you a while to bring things up on the phone.
Yeah,
I just
I mean,
wanted to
That's
make
right
It
here.
sure.
shuts off and then comes.
Low batteries.
Did you get
Ooh.
that picture?
No.
Do you remember when Brian was, we were talking to Brian about his seedlings?
These are his?
Those are his.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Good job, Brian.
How about
Here,
that,
wait.
huh?
They're Brian's rose seedlings. You said that you weren't sure whether they were weeds.
Well, here's
or
what happened is
because they were so prolific.
as many as you see there, I did pull a few out thinking they were weeds because they look a lot like a weed that I have. And then I stopped and said, whoa, hold on. Let's make sure that these are either the seedlings or they are weeds. And fortunately, I only pulled out about 2 or 3 thinking they were weeds, and that's what I have left.
That's really good. Those are the rose starts.
Those are the rose starts.
And, and were those the same variety of seeds that I put in mine?
No, you both had different. You had, I think, Manhattan Blue.
Blue something.
And Brian had Wild Dancer.
Wild Dancer. We have to take a break. News coming up for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. We're coming back at 6 minutes after for you. Those on Facebook Live coming back a lot quicker, so do stay with us. A lot more show. Your questions, your comments here. Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio, Garden America. Hey, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us on Biz Talk Radio, this is hour number 2. But of course, you can always go back. You can go to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. Our shows are archived. In fact, this one today will be posted later on this afternoon. You can also catch us on the iHeartRadio platform for podcasting, Pandora, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and I'm probably leaving somebody else out. Oh, Alexa will play our show for you. So any show you miss out there in the streaming world, the digital world, you can find us.
Tiger's
Garden America Radio Show.
TikTok.
What's that?
Tiger is on TikTok.
Yeah,
That's
Daniel,
right. Tiger's on TikTok with a. We also should mention too that Tiger's making some short little cutaway videos, which are posted on our Facebook page, on TikTok, and who knows, probably some other media platform as well.
Dark web. Coming soon to the dark
Coming
web.
soon to the dark web.
Yeah.
So look for those.
You have to subscribe to those ones with Bitcoin.
Would you consider those like little garden tips or little how-to tips, Tiger?
Yeah, just little information. You know, I mean, I'm gonna do one on some of the things that are going on in my backyard. That I'm still waiting. That dandelion tree. I want to get it where, because it's in full bloom, looks beautiful. But I want to get it where I can see the dandelion seed, flowers, and plants. See if I can try to get a shot of it, having all 3 at once, kind of a thing. We'll see. I don't know. But
hey, if you have any ideas, those listening, Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, any video ideas, things that you'd like to see demonstrated, just let us know. I guess they can contact you, Tiger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. On Facebook, reach out to me, send me a message, or on the Garden America Facebook, or on my personal one. Yeah,
just a little quick video, maybe a how-to video that you want to see done and demonstrated, and we will make sure that happens for you.
We have a couple people, Kevin and Lenore, asking where the cocoa trees come from. And Lenore wants to know if it's a kind of sponge. They're coconut trees. So the
actual coconut.
Right. The coir is actually the fiber from the coconut tree. So, of course, coconuts
from
are
the
all
seed.
Tropical.
Yeah.
Well, a coconut is a seed.
Well, you said coconut tree. I didn't want them confusing that they cut down the tree.
Yeah.
And then, no, it's...
And I didn't mean to make that sound like you don't know what you're talking about. I just realized it might have come across that way.
We all know several years ago who fell out of a coconut tree.
Who?
Keith Richards.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
He fell like a good 10, 15 feet.
Yeah.
Still didn't take him down.
And we want to know why he was up there. Maybe he was trying to harvest the same thing we're talking about today.
Do you know what the largest seed in the world is?
Coconut.
No.
Darn.
Close, though. You're half right.
I'm half right.
Yeah, it's the double coconut.
Okay, so if this was Jeopardy,
yeah, you would have been.
He would have gone to the judges, and they would have said, "No, we need the exact name."
Right. Well, the double coconut comes from only one type of palm tree.
Oh, the Dolly Parton palm tree.
And I'm trying to think of where that tree is native to. If it's the Seychelles.
I remember you posted it in a newsletter a while
Yeah,
back.
it's
I can't remember.
huge.
Yeah,
It's bigger than 2 coconuts put together.
yeah. But
Veronica wants to see a how to repot orchids video.
okay.
And
Done.
if I
Okay,
can make
yeah,
a
that's good. Good,
request,
Veronica.
could
Yeah.
you do it at my house with some
So
of my
with all
orchids?
your orchids,
I-
could we just shoot a full day of repotting orchids?
Just shoot about 5 or 6 videos at
Yeah,
once.
Yeah.
I need to divide some cymbidiums that I've been planning on dividing for the last maybe 15 years.
Now, let me ask you this, John. When it comes to dividing your cymbidiums or orchids,
Right.
are you the person that goes in there and gently kind of tries to pull apart the root system to
Take
kind
a
of,
shovel.
or are you the kind of person that just takes a nice sharp shovel and
Right.
just cuts right down the middle?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, there's
Because if I could gently go in there, in my mind, it doesn't need to be repotted. If it's so thick that there's no way to pull them
That-
apart,
now it's time.
Now it's time, yeah.
yeah.
Hey, we talked about last couple of 2 or 3 weeks tomatoes. Tiger brought me in today, not
Oh,
a
yeah.
sun sugar, but it's called a sugary
Sugary tomato.
tomato, and I'm going to keep the label on there for obvious reasons. And so we're going to see how sweet it is.
Yeah. I don't
A
know. You
sugary
bring
sounds to me like a place where a factory where they would make sugar.
You're right.
A sugary.
The sugary
and
factory.
that's what that tomato is. It's a sugar factory.
Sugary, yeah, and it's pretty good size. So I'll transplant it, and then in a month or so we should have some tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Do you
a
know?
month or 2.
Is there a way to make tomatoes sweeter by the way you grow it, John?
I don't
Could you-
believe so.
Because how sometimes they talk
There
about grapes. Grapes, for wines and things, it's all about
Right.
sugar content. And wine growers find certain ways to kind of enhance those sugars.
Can you imagine an additive you would put in your soil and it
Yeah.
would sweeten up whatever it is?
Right. That's what, I
Well,
didn't know if there's.
There are
things.
cultural techniques that will increase the sugar content.
What's that mean?
And well, one is withholding water
Oh,
because too much water
dilutes it.
Dilutes it.
the sugar
Yeah,
content.
sure.
For the sweetest tomatoes before harvest, you want them to be on the dry side and almost to the point of wilting. So if you want to know during the summer how often to water your tomatoes, go ahead and let it wilt and then
It'll
water
tell you.
it and then see how long until it wilts again.
Because they do. When you withhold water, you can see it right away
Right.
in a
When
tomato.
it's
It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
it needs water.
And
And then the other thing is, if you pick the tomatoes, never put a tomato in the refrigerator because it destroys the sweetness.
Okay.
Somebody else wanting that same video, the Cymbidium orchid
Okay.
repot
John,
video.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. So
Yep.
that's all you have to do. Let us
you know
know.
what? We've been only promising this for like 6 months now, but we're going to do a video or do a show from the
your house.
library at my
Right.
house.
Yeah.
Great time to do that.
We have to get outside though too, don't we? Can
Well, yeah, we get outside and we do a video splitting
Now,
the Cymbidiums.
you have good Wi-Fi?
No, terrible Wi-Fi.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That
Are
doesn't
you
bode
serious?
well.
Are
It
you
does-
serious?
Well, I don't know. I don't. Does that bode well
Well,
for
you know
us?
what?
It'll be
Maybe
fine.
I have good Wi-Fi. I'm thinking I don't have good phone coverage. I only have
You
one.
make it sound like you live in.
I only have
Off
one
the
bar,
grid.
Yeah, exactly.
John, he is on the grid.
You've got to
but I'm at the edge of the grid.
my diesel generator, running my property.
John doesn't live at the end of the world, but he can see it from there. So we should test that, though. We should make sure the Wi-Fi is good for that, because we're committing a couple of hours of broadcasting up there. You're not worried. Tiger's not
I'm
worried.
not
so
worried.
all
I'm
right.
not worried. Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Tiger's the tech guy, so whatever he says, I'll go along with.
Now, so when it comes to withholding water, is this something that you should be doing? Let's say you've gotten some tomatoes and you're going to be thinking these tomatoes are going to be ripe in 3 to 4 weeks. Is this something you start to do at that point in time? Is this something you only do maybe a few days before you harvest?
Right.
Just a few days before.
Right.
So water, and then when you think you're about ready to harvest,
Well,
a
water,
few
but
days.
not excessive water.
Right. But I
Okay.
mean, you don't have to really withhold it like its whole life.
You don't have to let it die.
Yeah.
No, you want to keep it growing, but in between waterings, make sure that you're not.
Let
for
it dry
instance-
out a little bit.
For instance, if the tomato wilts, you water it,
Right.
and then and say it's 5 days before it wilts again. Then you should go every 5 days. So don't water every other
3
day.
days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can save water.
Yeah.
By the way, John sounds like he's in the same situation that I'm in with the orchids, cymbidiums. He says the orchids are in pots and so tight they're intimidating.
Yeah. And it gets to the point where you can only remove the pot by either breaking the pot or cutting the pot.
Right.
Because
Right.
you know when they grow wonky in a pot, like a bamboo or like a cymbidium, they actually bend the pot if it's a plastic pot,
Right.
that it doesn't just slide out anymore. It's holding.
Now you've
Yes.
got to cut it off almost.
It's holding onto the pot, and there's just no way to slide it out any longer. So-
By the way, the name of those shears that you gave me a
Yeah.
few weeks ago, what brand was?
Felco.
Okay, so old shears. I don't think they're rusty, but you can tell John, had a lot of good use out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Best shears I've ever had.
Yeah.
Though there's no effort in cutting anything. It makes you feel like a better
And
gardener.
that other pair of shears I
Makes you
told
feel
you
strong.
about,
It does,
I think is better than Felco and half the price.
really. On
It's
that
a
note,
Japanese company.
we're going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Got a couple of 2 or 3 more segments still to go. The show is rolling along. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. We're taking a break, as I mentioned, back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, we are back. It is Garden America. As I mentioned, you can listen and hear our show on many, many platforms. The iHeartMedia platform for podcasting, Spotify, Pandora. We've got Alexa. We've got Google Podcasting. And, of course, our YouTube channel. Want to watch us at the same time or rewatch the show? That's also Garden America Radio Show. Please go to our website, gardenamerica.com. If you could do that a couple, 2 or 3 times a week, we'd appreciate it. Click around. We have a lot of different things happening, and it's constantly changing as well. So a shout out to our webmaster, Daniel, for that. That's gardenamerica.com.
The nursery, my family has owned it for 34 years now.
Is this the 34th anniversary this year?
Is the 34th anniversary
So what do you-
that we have owned it.
What are you planning? My gosh.
I know, right?
Now,
But the
who did-
nursery's been there since 1910.
1910.
So what is that now? 113 years?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very good. You went to San Diego schools? Public school?
right. Yeah.
So who did your family buy it from?
So we bought it from Frank Antonicelli. Yeah, and the Antonicelli family was a prominent family there in the Mission Hills area. They owned a lot of land, a lot of businesses in that area for many, many, many years.
They had a couple nurseries, as I recall.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple
And-
locations at least.
Yeah, and there were some brothers that owned these different businesses and properties, and for many, many years, Frank though, owned the location of the nursery as it stands today, but he got it from Kate Sessions, which that's where we say she started it back in 1910. For those of you that don't know Kate Sessions, she's considered the mother of Balboa Park and very influential horticulturalist here in San Diego for a lot of years, developing the city.
It's funny, Mount Soledad from
Yeah.
Pacific Beach into
Yeah.
La Jolla, there's Kate Sessions Park.
Right.
So as a kid growing up, I had no idea who Kate Sessions was. It
Right.
was Kate Sessions Park.
And there's a school right there, too.
And whoever she is. But her name is so prominent that a lot of things are still there that were named after her.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, do you have any pictures like 1910 or thereabouts when the nursery opened up, as far as comparing the residential area around it? What was there?
So it's really cool. The Mission Hills Heritage Group, I'm sure they have a website, has a lot of old pictures of the community, and they have a calendar every year that they release, and they'll take an old photo, and then they'll show the current state of wherever that part of the photo was taken at, whether it's a street corner of a house or a business or a overall view overlooking. And you'll appreciate this, Brian, because it's really cool, because that back when Mission Hills was being developed and it overlooked the Mission Valley area,
Right.
that the Mission Valley area was just a floodplain,
nothing.
farms,
Right.
looking off into Pacific Beach. It was all flat. You can see all the way to the ocean.
You know what's interesting? Back in I want to say the 40s, maybe the 50s, my dad had a good friend of his who was in real estate. And he was telling my dad, man, you got to purchase land at Mission Valley. That's the next big thing. And people are like, it floods there.
Yeah.
Who's going to buy land where you have flash floods? No. Well, obviously people did buy land. They did develop it. And yes, it does still flood, but they've done it in such a way to where they have improved it in some areas. But do you recall the Cinema 21 Theater?
Yeah.
They used to be down there. So when it would rain, that water went right into the theater.
Yeah.
Flood the theater.
Well, do you know, John? Because they built a couple dams upstream, and I think that's what helped curb a lot of that. I can't remember if it was not Hodges. That's the one up north.
Right. Hodges Nursery?
No, Hodges Dam.
Dam. I'm sorry, Hodges
That's
Dam.
the one up
Rancho
at 15.
Bernardo.
That's Rancho Bernardo. That one
Right.
doesn't affect it. There's another one I can't remember, but they've curbed that water a little bit more than what they used to be able to do with it. So yeah. So anyways, there's some cool photos. Some cool photos of Kate Sessions, at the nursery,
Wow.
back in the day too.
Probably San Diego Historical Society.
Yeah.
With a lot of those.
There's a really cool photo. So there used to be a gas station on the corner of where the nursery stands today.
Really?
And there is this real cool photo from World War II, where they had those balloons they used to put up.
Attention getters.
Well, for
people
like
would
if
see.
there was like a bomb run or whatever, to kind of make the planes not, there's a balloon that went straight from that location up. It was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Huh.
Fun.
Got a few comments to take care of. One, Gina said that while I was on vacation in Florida, that she found 10 pairs of shears in the garage. She said that I could do a giveaway. I already did the
Oh,
giveaway.
you know what, Gina?
Gave
Thank you
Brian
for
a
that.
pair.
What else is John holding back on us?
Yeah, exactly.
I've got about 200 packages of seed. People are welcome to have. Let's see. Then
10 pairs of sheep.
you were talking about Frank Antonicelli.
Yeah.
And Tanya up in San Jose says, did they also own the Begonia Nursery up here in Santa Cruz? No, that was Antonelli.
Oh yeah.
The Antonelli brothers, which were famous begonia breeders. And then Kevin says he believes that Kate brought the jacaranda to San Diego.
I've heard that.
Did
And
you?
there's a book, a kid's book that focuses on her and talks about that.
Really?
I don't know.
I know she was responsible for tipuanas
Mm-hmm.
and is identified with the tipuana tree. But could be jacarandas. I'm trying to think because I read a book on Kate Sessions, and I think you're right. I think she did mention.
It's so hard with some of that historical information because for being a woman of that time, there's a lot of information about Kate Sessions and what she did and all of that, but there's also a lot of mystery or like just transferred information by word of mouth about her, where when you talk about the Spreckles and the Marstons, there's a lot of detailed articles about what they did and how they did things.
Early pioneers of San Diego.
Yeah,
I mean, that used to be a Marston's department store downtown.
Yeah.
I didn't know Marston what that meant, as a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you're right as far as over the years how information can get watered down.
Yeah. So I know that her influence on Balboa Park is very well documented because that was something that they talk about a lot. So
Carla wants to know the name of the Japanese clippers.
the Japanese ones. Ooh, you said that one.
And I found it here on Amazon, and they're Okatsune. So O-K-A.
He just cussed someone out in Japanese.
Yeah.
T-S-U-N-E. I might have Okatsune
Facebook just shut us down all of a sudden.
or Okatsune.
They're looking into it right now.
T-S-U-N-E. And they're $33, and by far the best pruners I've ever used.
So look at the response on your balloons. World War II, barrage balloons.
Yeah, it's just such a crazy thing to see this photo of a neighborhood and then this balloon, silver balloon, just up in the air like that.
Karen's recalling something you said one time, that you want to see jacarandas in other people's yards
Yes.
because they're so messy.
Yeah. You don't like messy plants at all, Brian. Like,
I don't like things that drop.
yeah, exactly.
That because there's normal maintenance anyway.
Yeah.
But to add that, it's like, you know, they got rid of a couple of big eucalyptus trees
Right.
that were right next to our house.
If you had rose petals lining your walkway, would that upset you? So why not jacaranda flowers?
Rose petals lining. I like how John thinks that rose petals are just going to fall elegantly into a walkway.
But let me ask
for
John
you.
this: would you like jacarandas, the mess
Falling
of
in your rose
jacarandas,
plants?
into your bedroom with a glass of wine and a hot bathtub ready to go?
What kind of wine? So I don't know. You probably don't want jacarandas over a driveway
We had
or
to take a
over
break.
patio.
I'm way over.
But I like jacarandas.
I have editing to do on Monday for this segment. We're going to take a break. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Back after these messages. This is Garden America. Okay, Garden America keeps on zooming along on this Saturday morning or maybe Saturday afternoon if you are catching us live. Those re-listening to the show, the beauty of that is you can do it any time of the day or night, 24/7. 2 more segments to go. We are back answering questions and reading comments. And here we go. Any more, John, to take care of?
John wants to know the best soil mixture for dwarf citrus in half-barrel containers. He says he wants to know if coir would be the best. If you're making your own, you could mix some coir in it. But again, I would use ocean forest potting soil straight.
Yeah.
That would be probably the best mix you could come up with.
John, do you know, I mean, citrus growers, not so much anymore, but do you remember how heavy those cans used to be? Because they used to just put like sand.
Well, it
and
depends
dirt.
who you bought them from. There was one, I think they might still be in business in Vista, called Clausen Nursery.
Yeah, they're still around. Yeah.
They just dug the trees out of the ground and put them in pots.
Right?
They were really heavy.
So
It's like
heavy.
cement.
Yes. Solid brick of soil.
Right.
Yeah.
But Durling's always had a good soil mix, I thought. Their stuff was never real heavy.
But I mean, why was it that ornamental plants always were grown in a soil medium, peat, perlite, all that, and the citrus just were in that heavy soil mix? I mean, did they like to be kept that wet?
No, just because they weren't grown in those pots.
Okay.
They were just dug up out of the
and then
ground.
they just transplanted them into the pot, kind of a thing. Okay.
Gina said she went to a rose garden yesterday in an unlikely place, the Boise Old Penitentiary.
Boise.
Boise, I'm sorry.
Who was she visiting there?
I don't know, but that's odd that you would go to Boise this time of year and go to a rose garden because certainly nothing blooming.
Well, old penitentiary, old cemeteries, roses.
But you talk about an unlikely place, what about the rose garden on Alcatraz?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they actually
It's a really good rose garden. Nice garden.
was that the prisoners did that right at the time or not? Because I
No,
know
think-
families kind of lived in and around that
family,
area.
Right.
That was more in the family area.
Family area.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this was at it might have been the warden's rose garden, and the prisoners might have
kept
weeded.
it. Yeah.
I don't know about which prisoners. I don't know if Al Capone did any of that, or the Birdman. But and we've talked about the book, The Alcatraz Rose, which is a great mystery, horticultural mystery. If you like gardening, if you like mysteries, and if you like gardening, then read some garden mysteries.
But you were talking about how that's an interesting place to go because it's wintertime still for them, and they're probably just leafing out, right? I don't
Not
even
even leafing.
No, they're not even leafed out.
No, not even close. I don't think. I have roses at my house just starting to leaf out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I'm a little bit behind.
Hey, so what is the next step now for Tiger and I with the little seedlings?
What do we do next? When we wait till they get to 2 inches
Didn't
tall?
we
and
cover
then-
this last week?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for those that are just joining us,
and those of us that weren't listening last week.
Yeah, like a lot of things that go on in this show.
Wait till you see roots coming out the bottom of the pot, and then go through and separate them. Yeah. And put them
because they're so tiny and
I know.
and
I know.
helpless.
Brian's scared he's going to kill them all.
Helpless and weak, and want to be very
I could
careful.
bring you some liner pots if you want.
I think Tiger mentioned that last week as well. What about liner pots?
Do you want some?
I just use the color packs.
Yeah, you
Color
could
packs.
use those too.
I just use empty color packs, and then that's what I grow them out in the next step whenever I start things from seed like that.
Because I've never done this before at all.
Because then in the color pack, I mean, you got a lot of time before you kind of need to move it and kind of either go to a gallon or 5 gallon or in the ground from there. Yeah. Easy enough to use. Color packs.
Gina went on a field trip.
Oh, fun.
So homeschooling field trip.
Yeah. Little
That's what it
historical
was,
area,
right.
maybe Old Town Boise, where all that stuff may be located. Because if you go down to Old Town here in San Diego, they got the museum, they got the old sheriff's station, the cemetery, all kinds of fun stuff to look at.
Did you see what Kevin pointed out? He said that he says, "Go Aztecs." He says his one comment in this is before Brian became the courtside announcer at the SDSU games, the team wasn't very impressive. But once he took over the mic, they became very formidable.
Well, that
Very
was
true,
good
very
timing
true.
because I started about the same time Coach Steve Fisher started.
Yeah.
And he changed the face of basketball. So it was fun to ride that wave from the very beginning. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
2,000 people, maybe weekends, 6,000. And over the years, it grew to what it is now, to 12,000, 13,000 people. So, Final Four, go Aztecs.
Well, Kevin says he nominates you for the Hall of Champions Hall of Fame.
You know what's interesting? I think, Kevin, my 1973 amateur hockey team is in the Breitbart Hall of Fame. Our picture was more prominent, and over the years, I think they start moving stuff into the back, and then eventually into the
Just goes
warehouse,
into a closet.
and then into a closet. Yes. So, hey, thank you for the kind words, Kevin. He's a high school buddy of mine,
Nice.
junior high school. Love Kevin, good man.
Did you go to San Diego State?
No, I went to Northern Arizona
That's right.
University. My wife Dana went to San Diego State,
Yeah.
so she would go to the games and see a lot of people from over the years, a lot of alumni.
San Diego State's a college, and I know all colleges have, but I mean, because it's situated up on this hill, and they made it look like
Mesa.
a mission,
Right.
a mission. That was the style of it now. Now, I mean, the
You don't
campus
recognize it if
is
you haven't been there. For a
yeah,
while.
absurdly massive. So,
If I email a picture to you, Tiger,
yes, I will get it.
He can post it.
can you post it?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
or you can just text it to me, whatever one's easiest.
Oh, it's probably easier to text it
Yeah,
to you.
quicker. Probably get there quicker.
To Tiger.
Little bell will go off. Ding.
Are you? This is supposed to tell you the generation that you live in. Are you a thumb scroller on your phone, or are you a finger?
I've done. I do both. You know
Yeah?
what? I do both. Absolutely. Depends on how I'm sitting, where I am, in
Because
bed.
if you're a finger person, it's supposed to be your older generation, and then thumb people are younger.
No, I thought
Well, I sent you the picture, and the reason I sent it was Tony in Connecticut says that her roses started leafing out last week, but they're going really slow, and she's had more winter kill than
Yeah.
usual. And she said her rose orders are coming in fast and furious. She just got her lemon chiffon from Wisconsin Roses today.
Mm.
And the picture that I sent Tiger, which I believe he's going to post, is a picture of the lemon chiffon that I got from Wisconsin Roses, and it's thanks to Tony. This is the featured rose in our upcoming auction.
way to go, Tony.
Yeah, and
Shout out
this
to
is
Tony.
the rose that we mentioned. Modern Roses 10 says this rose is extinct. So
But not really.
no longer, thanks to Tony. So Tiger's going to try to post that. It has a big bud on it. I've never ever seen this.
You
rose
said bud,
bloom.
right? B-U-D.
Chiffon
Okay.
is CHIFFON.
Yeah. Isn't it on the picture?
Can't read that far.
Oh,
Sorry. Yes, it is. I see it down there, but I couldn't read it.
So Tiger's going to post that here momentarily for those on Facebook to take a look at.
From Tony, you said it was?
Yeah, Toni,
Q-N-I?
like your Tony.
Yeah, like my Tony. So this is one rose, like as far as like there's only one left?
No, well, I think she may have had the last one
Okay.
left, and she sent budwood for me to Wisconsin Roses, and he budded it up, and I ended up getting 4, and so they'll be in various auctions. Carla says that somebody mentioned the movie Green Fingers with Helen Mirren. I'm
Oh,
trying.
yeah, you got to catch up. We've had a lot of people reacting to that.
Did we talk about that before?
I don't think so. John is the one that posted it, and then other people are responding to it.
Carla says she thinks that we watched that on one of the bus trips with Garden Compass. Just don't watch it with kids. I'm trying to.
I don't know.
I don't
Gosh,
remember.
I don't remember that.
The only thing I remember watching on a bus trip was Sharon brought some Rosemary and Thyme videos, which are fine. Have you ever watched Rosemary and Thyme?
No.
Oh, you should. But the only reason I
Is
could
it
think,
spicy?
No, it's those aren't spices; they're herbs.
I know, but the movie just sounds a little spicy to me.
The only reason I would not watch Rosemary and Thyme with kids was because they would just be bored and leave.
We're going to take a break. We have one more segment coming up, one of our shortest segments as we wrap up the show. So do stay with us. But again, plenty of time for questions, comments. We do appreciate it. This is Garden America. Tiger, Brian, John, back after these messages for our good friends on Biz Talk Radio. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back for our final segment. Those on Biz Talk Radio, those on Facebook Live, we do thank you as we're continuing to get more comments on Facebook Live.
See how long it's taken Tiger to post this? That's why I could never do it.
It's already there, yeah.
Is it there?
What's not there yet?
Yeah, refresh. It's funny you were mentioning this has been a hot topic in our industry too. Is that there's a new movie coming out, The Master Gardener or Master Gardener. Have you seen that yet? It's a story. It's Narvel Roth is a meticulous horticulturalist of Gracewood Gardens, a beautiful estate owned by wealthy dowager Miss Haverhill. When she orders Roth to take on her troubled great niece Maya as his apprentice, his life is thrown into chaos and dark secrets from his past emerge.
What's the name of that?
Master Gardener.
Master Gardener.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
A horticultural thriller
exactly.
coming to a theater near you.
Yeah.
Starts Friday, rated R.
Wasn't there
Look
a
at how he separates his rose.
cartoon villain called the Master Cylinder?
I don't remember. I remember Snidely Whiplash.
I'm thinking.
Was that
Yep,
Rocky and Bullwinkle?
No, Dudley Do-Right. Oh, now
Oh.
I shall save you now.
That's right.
He was a Canadian mounted police.
Wasn't would it have been Tom Terrific?
Tom Terrific was speed racers. They raced cars. You had Tom Terrific and different
They did?
names. Penelope Pitstop.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was Penelope Pitstop.
I think the Master Cylinder was the villain in that.
Yeah, it's
show.
got to be because if
Yeah.
it was car racing, Master Cylinder makes sense.
Sure.
You know, that picture doesn't show up, and I refreshed. Do you have it on your screen?
Let me see.
Next time we just send it to Daniel. He'll post what he does. He sits around waiting to post. You see how quickly when I talked about going to our website,
Right there.
he had our link right there.
That's what I sent you.
That's what I posted.
Oh, you? Oh, I thought you were posting it on here.
Oh no, I posted on the Facebook page.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, okay.
I don't think I can post it on.
Well,
this
that
chat.
that
Let
was
me
my
see.
question: is if you could post.
Oh,
it.
that's what I thought. Yeah, he was going to put a link
right,
on the chat.
right.
Let me see.
All right, Tony. Well, it is on. If you go to Garden America Facebook page and get out of watching the video,
No,
but
boom.
Hold on. No, it's
Whoops.
on it's on the comment section, right?
Yeah.
it's coming up.
Yeah, that's why when you said refresh, I'm like, well, usually we don't have to.
Daniel just thinks this whole thing is hilarious.
Yeah, it's a funny show.
No, I can't post pictures in there.
Oh, Felix the cat.
That was rock bottom.
Tanya's husband says that Master Cylinder was the villain in Phoenix. All right, I'm going to have to look.
You know what,
up
though?
this
That's interesting. Because wasn't that the mad scientist, Rock Bottom, in Felix the Cat?
No, he was kind of a henchman, wasn't he?
Rock Bottom? You ever watch Felix the Cat?
Oh my gosh, what are you talking about?
Old cartoons. Felix the Cat.
Is this what
The
happens
wonderful,
when I'm
wonderful
not
cat.
involved with the show anymore?
Yeah, we're drifting away. It's okay.
And Tanya's husband was correct. Master Cylinder was villain in Felix the
Gosh.
Cat.
See, I think our listeners and viewers should have their own show. Much smarter than we are.
All right, now what show had Poindexter in it?
Felix the Cat, right?
Was that Felix the Cat too?
Poindexter was in Felix the Cat.
Okay.
Let's see how many of our listeners know who Clyde Crash Cup is or was. John, you know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Dana. Oh, a secret squirrel. Oh, a secret. That was his little buddy who drove the car. Okay. A walk down Cartoon
I
Lane.
can't do photos.
What's it?
can't
You
do
can't?
All right. Tiger can't put
But
the
I-
link on the.
But I did put it on our
comments.
Facebook page.
But it is on Facebook.
It's on our
so-
Facebook page, yeah. So once the show's over, if you don't want to click out now, you can take a look at it.
Yeah.
Keeping us on time here. I keep watching our segments.
All right. So we talked earlier about how it's going to get hot all of a sudden here in California.
And no rain in the near future, right?
Right.
Not for
Depends what you mean by the
They're-
near
because
future.
they
but at
are
least
getting rain up in Northern California.
Well, I'd say in the next week. To me, that's near future.
not down here for
Yeah,
the next
Okay,
week.
well, I need things to dry out so I can
Right.
get outside.
But
and-
anyway, with this hot weather coming, there's a few things you might need to do. Maybe shade cloth over some tender plants,
Mhm.
or if they're in pots, you can move them into a protected area. And make sure, because you're not used to watering. I can't remember the last time I watered my pots.
Right, I know.
Uh, When the temperatures get up in the 80s, they're going to dry out. and
Thing
they're
will
gonna
dry.
need water.
Yeah, they'll dry out pretty quick.
And pots will dry out much quicker than in-ground plants.
Right,
You know, so
because they use up the moisture quicker and
yeah,
so on and so forth.
yeah.
John's reading.
Oh, Veronica wanted to know who loves spinach. Well, that was Popeye.
That was Popeye.
Right. Olive oil. What was the that weird dog that was on Popeye?
Dog.
Oh, you're talking about Jeep, the magical Jeep.
What?
Yeah,
Jeep. Was it a dog?
It
I don't
was-
think anybody knows what it
it was Jinx, right? Was
No,
it
Jinx
the
the
Jeep?
cat, Pixie and Dixie. Jinx was the cat, Pixie and Dixie. But Jeep was the little funny little dog-like animal in Popeye.
Hmm.
All this useless stuff I have in my brain. Tiger.
Really? Wow. I don't know.
Ding, ding. Veronica says, ding, ding. Cartoon
What was
trivia,
the-
horticulture.
What was the hamburger eater in Popeye?
Wimpy.
Wimpy.
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Okay, got about a minute, guys.
Minute. All right. What else? What else?
Um,
So yeah, swing by the nursery this week.
Yes.
Anniversary. Lots of fun stuff happening there. We have a staghorn class coming up.
Ooh.
So,
Was Eugene the Jeep?
Eugene, the magical. Yes, Eugene.
Eugene the Jeep. So he wasn't a dog; he was a Jeep.
He's a weird animal somebody drew.
like a Dr. Seuss kind of animal.
Almost, yeah. Really weird. You can look it up. I'm sure that's going to be the first thing you're going to do today, Tiger. Eugene the
All
Jeep.
over it.
That's right. So anyway,
That's it.
get out and pull weeds before the
Yep.
ground turns hard, because
Yes.
that'll happen quickly also.
Yes.
So today and tomorrow are the last optimum days for pulling
Weed
weeds.
pulling.
And that's going to do it. That
Right.
brings us right up to the end of the show.
What time are you coming over to pull weeds?
About 1 o'clock.
All right, I'll be there.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Garden America. Remember, you can watch our show again. You can watch it this afternoon on our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. We've got many ways to listen to our show, the various podcast platforms. So be sure to do that if you want to watch something again or you missed it. For the entire crew, I'm Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox, Stephanie, her crew, Ryan at the network. Thank you so much, and we'll do it again next week right here on Garden America. Take care.